To the left, we have the LG C4. To the right, we have the Samsung S90D, or 95D, and then the S95B. So 95B, 90D, C4. One of the things that'll become immediately noticeable is that the C4, again, is the more washed out picture, but now we're seeing it up against, again, something that's in line with the S90 series of television. So whether it's an S90C, S90D, this is going to be very similar to what you're going to get with that. However, the 90D obviously is better than the S95B. So again, not even like S90D level. Again, we can do a comparison with that, but the 95 pretty much covers that. The point of this is showing you the difference between all of these. So if you have the older S95B, this is how it's going to compare. If you have the brand new S95D, this is how it's going to compare. And if you have the brand new C4, this is how it's going to compare. Across the board, there's really nothing you can do to fraudulently make LG look worse. I'll just say that, because there's literally no shortage of people telling me that I'm doing something to the C4, which again, in real time, I'll just show you. I'm in my settings right now, which is the auto power save mode. I will go back into standard mode, which is a default mode. It looks terrible. I've been showing this in every single comparison. I'm going to hit reset, and there you go. I'll clear it, and you can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about. It's just way too damn blue. Okay, so then let's say we want to go into filmmaker mode. Okay, go into filmmaker mode, go down to advanced settings, hit reset, and there you go. Now I've run the measurements and I've run my equipment, and filmmaker mode is the most accurate mode in the entire television. Cinema mode is not accurate at all. So with that, filmmaker mode is the reference accurate look, period. This is an accurate calibration. You have delta errors below 3. So again, it does give you the quote unquote reference accuracy. So you don't technically need to calibrate this TV if you're after reference accuracy. This is what reference accuracy looks like. It's not ever going to compare to anything that I have shown, anything that I do, and you're seeing it right here. And I'm just going to let it play out for a little bit like this, so you can really get an idea. If you're rocking a reference accurate calibrated picture, you're never going to see what your TV can actually do. Like literally not ever. I am literally blown away by the way that the S95D looks, by the way. It's freaking incredible. The S95B is, well, very impressive. But I can see those extra colors just popping off of the 95. Like, it's freaking insane. Like the pink in this example, go ahead and pause here, and you'll see what I mean. Like, it's just more three-dimensional. Like, this is a whole new planet and stratosphere and universe, multiverse even, of just fantastic, right? With how good it looks. This is fantastic, and it's its own planet. And this looks like what you're trying to upgrade from. Now, that's their filmmaker mode. That's their calibrated look. It doesn't look good. If you were to go it like that, it would not look good. Now, after I've calibrated it again, I've taken it from this washed, ugly garbage to, again, this right here, which again, that looks substantially better. However, you're going to notice pink is still going to be one of those colors that just can't get as saturated as you get on the QD OLEDs. That's not going to change. Orange, another color that is not going to be anywhere near as saturated on the QD OLEDs, or as it is on the QD OLEDs on the WOLED with the C4. Again, top left, LG C4, top right, S95D, bottom, middle, S95B. And you're seeing it. I mean, like, and these are the kinds of moments in anime that have captivated me personally, which is why I'm showcasing this, because when you're watching content, you want to pick something that, like, embodies what you watch and what you do with it. I'm sorry to say this. Those biased demos that you see at Best Buy with, you know, every single manufacturer trying to make their TV look better, that's not what it's actually going to look like. And I'm showing you what it's actually going to look like. And I'm also showing you this majority of what I always show is in SDR, because look at this, for example, Demon Slayer, Crunchyroll, perfect example. There is no HDR for Crunchyroll and Demon Slayer. You're going to watch it in SDR, and this is the exact experience you are going to have. 90% of what you're going to watch more often than not is going to be SDR over HDR. It's the most uniform way of watching things nowadays, where again, HDR is just not, I mean, damn, look at that. I mean, okay, I have to. That is just blowing my freaking mind with how clear, sharp, isolated, I mean 3D, even comparatively to the S95B. And now this really blows my mind because the S95B has the gloss finish and that should give it the contrast advantage, but it doesn't, because looking at this is way above that in a way that I'm literally baffled right now that it could do. I didn't know that the S95D was this much of a killer over here, but it is. It's taking names and kicking all kinds of ass that you guys don't even know it's kicking. And that's the thing too. When we do these kinds of comparisons, it's so hard to capture everything in a way where every TV is being done justice. But I think we've done that here in this example, because, I mean, you're seeing it kind of like if I look at the camera, it looks like what it looks like. The luminosity coming off of the 95D, all the clarity in the world, that's grabbing my eye immediately. Then the S95B next up is like right there, like grabbing my eye, and I look over like, oh, that's an impressive looking picture. And then last but not least, the C4, it does leave me puzzled, I'm not gonna lie, because for the same exact price, I mean, like, hell, the S95B right now is cheaper. You could pick them up for like $900, and then you'd have a better experience on the S95B. This is a TV now that's a couple years old, literally, and it does better than the C4. And this is what I have a problem with. When they're in the same ballpark of the prices that you're going to be paying, you're probably going to want to be careful with LG, because it's outdated tech. I mean, look at the pink in this example. It speaks 1,000 words. I mean, it's very clearly showing you just how washed out it is. And you're seeing it, again, with a very, very popular anime like Demon Slayer. And it's known for its gorgeous cinematic quality and everything, and it just can't get the job done. Again, as I see it, I like the skin tones on the S series of televisions. The C series from LG, just boring is the word I would use. Again, there's somebody who likes muted color paletry out there. And that person is like, well, I don't see a problem with LG. And you know what? I think you're making LG look worse on purpose. And I don't think you're being fair to LG, to which I'll just say this. The only reason any of us ever upgraded to a 4K HDR TV or even an OLED is because we want infinite contrast. We want the best color possible. And remember what LG was saying, black is the perfect canvas to create color because there's nothing polluting it. And then they go and they add a white subpixel that pollutes it because that's the only way they could prevent burn-in from happening to their displays. It is what it is. It increases longevity, but it makes colors look worse the brighter it gets. And now, with them trying to make it brighter, it's not having the effect or the desired effect that people would have expected, and then hence the shock and awe of, whoa, what do you mean the LG looks that bad? It looks that bad. And you can fiddle around with your thumbs all you want and pretend that it isn't so, but it is so. And I'm going to show you some other examples to prove that. So this example will show the crudes too, and you'll be able to see more of the same of what I'm talking about. Again, it's literally the C4 being the one that's left behind the most in the color saturation game, falling light years behind it feels at times, because it just feels weak. It really genuinely does. Very dim, very, very dim by comparison to the S95B and the S95D. Now, let's be honest here. The S95D, I think we all were expecting LG to be very dim in comparison to that. But I don't think anybody was expecting the S95B from a couple years ago to be still brighter than that. Even though they're talking about Evo and all this stuff, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't. You can say whatever you want. You can say that it's brighter. But when you look at it with your own eyes, you'll see what I'm seeing. And there's just such a lack of that three-dimensional draw because of the brightness limitations. Because highlights don't pop to a strong enough degree, contrast takes a hit. And that contrast ultimately falls off to the wayside. I mean, like in a scene like this, it's like literally a perfect example. Like looking at what's going on the screen on the crudes, the S95D is like blowing my mind that it could ever even look like this with that, again, contrast killing filter that, honestly speaking, I gotta kind of give it to them. It's not so contrast killing, because here it is again against my S95B maxed out. and it's beating it. It's beating the hell out of it. Now, I will say this, the Samsung S95B has had numerous amounts of nerfing patches to make it look worse. I think we all know the updates have been very controversial for this TV. I'm not happy about it. I'm still pissed off about it, and it's a shell of its former self. I feel like the day one S95B totally could have given this a run for its money. But there are other things that you should look at in this example as well. Like in the background and in this little, I don't know if it's like a tree or whatever it is, the detail is immaculate. I see every little ridge, every little structure. It's so tack sharp. Again, I just see a little less detail here on the S95B, and I see the least amount of detail on the LG C4. Again, it's there, it's just not as good as what we have on, again, something like the S95D. But again, trying to give LG some merits, its cyan reproduction is good. It's just not, again, next level. And that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to achieve the next level. I mean, at least I am. I'm trying to see how far I can take both of these displays. And again, every time I do these comparisons, every single one of these TVs, I will go in and I will adjust the televisions for whoever the winner is, right? So right now the winner is the S95D. So then I open up the settings and I try to get the S95B and LG C4 to reference match the S95D. And again, I'll reach my ceiling, of course, but it will bring that TV closer to a TV that it can't beat. And in return, that makes it look extraordinarily good. I mean, look at the neon colors. I mean, the S95B is actually winning on that example. That looked really good on the 95B. Don't get me wrong, the colors are more vibrant on the S90D, but the S95B has like that better skin tone. That color palette on the skin tone is like to die for, where this is just a little bit more blue. Now, one could also argue that's the ambient light and the extra color from the extra color volume kicking up into her face that just isn't possible on the dimmer TV, the S95B. And again, LG doesn't have any of that, and its face, I mean, the face looks like it has almost no contrast whatsoever. These are the little differences that you'll be able to pluck out the more you do this. You go back and forth. Again, looking at just the fluorescent neon colors, the black light type colors, it looks really good on the QD OLEDs. And again, it's because they have what I call a bioluminescence glow or a black light glow. That is what you want when you're dealing with small, tiny highlights like what's on their face. You want this effect to look like a black light effect. You want isolation to wrap around like it is on the S95B right now. And again, you're seeing it. You're seeing that you don't have to upgrade if you have an S95B. So that's good for everybody who owns an S95B because you still have a great TV. Is it going to give you everything the new TV is giving you? No, but the contrast is truly undeniable. I can't deny it. It looks brilliant. And I still, every time like I look down at the S95B after looking at the S90D, and I'm like, nope, that's still a damn good picture. It's literally only the C4 where I'm just like, needs work. Oh, but wait, I know what you're going to say. That's not fair. All you're doing is showing anime and you're not showing us LG's demos or whatever. To which I'll say, okay, here is LG's own demo on their TV versus it also being on their competitors. And you're going to see more of the same themes kind of happen. The grayscale on the S95D is immaculate. It actually really does look so 3D. It feels like I'm being transported in and looking at this violinist play right now. And the S95B, it just has a 3D effect, but it's nowhere close to what we have on the 95. The C4, it has good rendition of yellow and the colors look nice, but it does feel like I'm watching a TV, right? It doesn't really feel like I'm looking through a TV, looking at a crystal. And I always describe it in this way because that's really, truly the only way to describe it. Like when TVs get so sharp, not average sharp, I mean like super sharp, they start to give off almost like a crystal-like effect where it's like when you see light refract through a crystal, how it, shimmers and twinkles and it shines in a way that just is, it's clarity. It's crystal clear, as they say. Well, that's what's happening on the S95D with excess. Even though it has that disgusting matte finish screen, I got to give it to them. I still didn't expect it to do this well again against the S95B to this degree. And again, looking at the S95B, it's still a very good picture. But again, it's just 3D. It looks like artificial 3D objects, where the S95D is like, they're real. Like, it's like 3D glasses without glasses right now. Fantastic what they've done. I look over at the C4 and I feel like I'm watching broadcast TV. That's the best way I could describe the C4. It has a very broadcast TV look to everything. So like, you know, that over the air kind of like haze that you see when you're watching, that's basically what it feels like all the time. And the red is abysmal in this example. That's not red, and it is getting baked. Now, I do like to see an improvement though, and the S95B at the bottom is getting baked. I mean, and I'll pause on this example so you can see red on all the TVs. S95B is getting baked by what we got on the S95D to the top right. The top left, the LG C4 falls way behind with a color that is so far removed from red. That's literally orange. Like, I'm literally looking at it and I could probably pull up a color swatch and that would be orange. It's just orange. It doesn't make any damn sense to have reds that are orange. But again, LG apparently knows better than me, so I'll let them try to figure out how they're going to fix their disgusting color paletry. Now, one thing that I really like about this year, opposed to the S95B in prior years, like again, S95B, this year is about Pantone validated color, and the skin tones are immaculate here. They really do look true to life. LG again has the broadcast TV look. It's like I'm looking at the news and I'm looking at it through that like almost 90s / early 2000s like kind of green jaundice haze filter. That's what that is. I kid you not, that is the look of this C4. And for $13.99 plus tax for a 55-inch on sale, that's the sale price, right? You know, I just don't see that. I don't see that as being worth it, because why get that experience? I mean, like, I don't know. I don't want everything wrapped in a haze filter. And it was like that even when I was in game mode, as you guys saw. Gaming on it wasn't really a treat, and it's supposed to be. But again, I'm not going to prattle forever and just tell you like, oh, it wasn't the best thing in the world and maybe it could have been better. I'm going to show you. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up the same gaming example that I did before, and I'm just going to show you apples to apples, because I did get a request to do some gaming and show the S95B, the S95D, and the C4 just to show how that would do. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. All right, so we're starting up our game, okay, just to give you an idea of what they all look like. And on Team Ninja just now, that red looked really bad on the C4, just so you know. Now we're going to go into just a basic, I don't know. I'll just do like survival and probably die like instantly, but whatever. Give you an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so we're going to be our boy Hayabusa. And, well, before I do that, I want to do what I did for the last comparison against, what did we do last? The C1 versus the C4 versus the S95D. Well, now it's the S95B versus the C4 versus the S95D. And at any time, if I mix it up and I say S95B and I'm mixing things up, I mean, try to keep up with what I'm pointing to or talking about in that instance, but I'll try not to do that. I do get models mixed up from time to time. But okay. Let's just go down the list as to what we're looking at. The most natural hair color in this example is going to be on the S95B. All day, that is way better and way more natural. That looking just a bit more red by comparison, but it still looks good. And the C4 looks washed by comparison. Looking at this example, I would say again, natural color is going to the S95B. Impressive color, 95D. Washed color, C4. And that's probably going to continue across the board. Far vastly superior highlights. That looks incredible, very good. Neither the C4, right, the C4 or the 95B can do what this is doing. And again, in this example, this has the better yellows and the more impactful color. So again, you can see that there is a bit of a difference, right? And I'm just going to select my character. I like this outfit, so we're going to go with that. Got this man looking like a whole ass Power Ranger out here. But either way, you can see on a very colorful arena. I'm glad they started off with this one. Trying not to die. Shit. And again, the idea is to show you the color. Immediately though, because of the luminosity throw, The S95D is really the superstar here. And ultimately, between all of these, it is the one that wins. It really is, because of what it looks like. I think it looks the best. I really do. And then I look over at the S95B, and it's not bad. I do notice, though, that like as I'm fighting, motion is slightly better on the 95D, which I actually appreciate, because I do know after the patch on the 95B, motion was really kind of dodgy, and I did not like that at all. That upset me a lot. So at least here we can kind of see more of what the picture quality would look like. And again, as you're seeing it with a fighting game, you're kind of getting an idea that in this particular mode, it looks good. Good isn't perfect. Again, every TV is going to have their little quirks here and there, but I think as far as like what we expect out of TVs, this is about as good as it's going to get for sure. So now that we've shown you just this one map, I'm going to go and I'm going to exit, and now we're going to go into something else, okay? And we're going to go into versus. I think that'll be the most common sense thing to do, right? And we're just gonna pick characters, any random character, and we're gonna get a match going, right? And we're gonna fight. I want to pick somewhere that's colorful, so I would say, I mean, I'm kind of torn, but I think it really won't matter either way. Let's do the street arena because it's just so damn fun, and you'll get an idea of the highlights, the color, much like you did before. That kind of stuff is not going to change. Even though people might want it to, these kind of details are just not up for debate, sadly. But as you look at it, the color on the S95B is actually extremely rich, especially the color red. It actually has better contrast on the color red because the luminosity of the red isn't as high as it is on the 95D. So that is a benefit because it does end up looking a lot better by result. And again, skin tones on the S95B, they're just going absolutely crazy. Now, to be fair, I could, if I wanted to, tone down the image on the 95D, and that would make it fall in line a little bit more with what we have on basically all the other TVs. I don't know why you would want to do that. I feel like the 95D is supposed to be this kind of like vibrant, impressive type look, but if you didn't want to do that, just for people like, oh, the 95D is oversaturated, I'm going to show you what it looks like after you kind of tone it down a little bit. Okay, so this is what it looks like after you have it toned down. So you can clearly see that there's a difference now in skin tone. The skin tone advantage then goes to the S95D. Let's look at all the other colors in general. I'm still seeing the S95D look good, but red though, red still is looking better on the S95B. And the overall contrast too, I'm noticing, you know, the areas that are supposed to be dark look beautifully dark in the right ways. It's not overly done, it's not distasteful, it just looks balanced. And I think that's the word I would use for it, is balanced, instead of just being, you know, overly colorful or whatever the case may be. The C4, it has a very cinematic look, but like a very, like, again, just a very broadcast style, very dated kind of cinematic look. And again, if you like fell in love with broadcast TV and the look of old school broadcast TV, then you're really gonna love the C4 because that's what it gives you. But if you want like this like popping crazy good color, then you're gonna want something like the S95D or its counterpart, the S95B. And again, for the S95B being a couple years old now, you're seeing how it holds up against the flagship model of this year. And again, flagship to flagship, it looks incredible, right? And you can kind of see that here. So again, just going through and showing you real-time gaming, just so you can see, like, if you were to game on this, what could you expect? Well, if you're playing Dead or Alive 4 and you're about as bad at it as I am, you'll probably expect to get your ass beat like I am here. Because, goodness gracious, am I just getting fucking destroyed. And she had an inch, like not even an inch, a centimeter of life. I hate when that happens in games. Ugh, just a centimeter away. But it is what it is. But you can see like the pinks and everything. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the character select and we're going to see if the colors don't change. Okay, so we're going to start off from the top again. As I look at it, I'm gonna still say the more realistic color is on the S95B for this rendition, but that's very close, a lot closer than it was. As far as this goes, they're pretty identical. They really are. I mean, more intense pink and color overall on the 95D, but they're very identical. But I would say the more natural color would be on the S95B because comparatively to the 95D, it has that normal like highlight that gives like brown hair, kind of like you probably won't even know what I'm talking about, but like like when sun shines through hair and it has like a hue to it, that's what it kind of does for it, and I think that's more natural. And again, this is still going to look better there. Looking at this, it's the S95D. And again, in all of these examples, the reason I'm not mentioning the C4 is because it really, in this comparison, is like the one-legged, red-headed stepchild. It looks the worst. It really, like, I don't know what they were token when they made it. I don't know what their damage is, but it really does look the absolute worst. At least in this comparison. Again, and there's nothing rigged about it since, again, you can see in real time we hit reset. And again, this is with the S95D toned down. Like, you don't want the most vibrant color. You can tone it down. And yes, you can turn it down even further, but I am not going to do that because then we'd be getting into washed out LG territory, which I have no interest in doing. I want to see the peak. And again, the LG has been fully optimized, as I've shown. When I toggled my settings off versus on, you clearly see a difference with that. So again, these little things, these little nuances, they add up. It's a long video to explain that and to show that, but there's really not a short way of showing all the little ins and outs of how one manufacturer is failing and another one is upgraded in certain areas, but how the older model, even though it doesn't have all the features of the new one, still looks every bit as good as you would expect it to look. I'm not going to lie, though, the contrast of the S95B is very eye-catching. And what it really is it's just like a truly undeniable clarity to it. And I think that's going to be something that you see, especially with the dark areas. They're very defined. Not that they're not on the S95D, but or the C4. The C4 has raised black, but it looks pretty good either way. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to some actual test demos and show you some more and then round up with some final thoughts. Okay, we're going to start with a Samsung demo. This is one of the ones I've been using for a long time, since 2015. And this one will show you great highlights, again, color and all that stuff. So you can really feel the impact on what TV is doing what and how they interact with one another. And again, I think by doing this, you'll be able to see a lot more than what, again, you're able to see in other people's videos. Because again, there's no BS here. All three of these TVs, fully optimized, ready to go. The sunset looks like shit on the C4. That was immediate. The S95B is doing way better than I thought it was going to do. Not gonna lie. It's really impressing me all over again, which is always a good thing. And again, I don't know what it is about these dark horses, man. You have TVs from a couple of years ago looking phenomenal. I mean, the reds to die for on the S95D or 95B, but the fireworks looked so much better just then on the 95D. And again, C4 looks washed. I'll pause right here. You can see this is the Samsung SUHD demo sensational picture from 9 years ago. And it's at 1 minute and 59 seconds. Okay, so now we're going to clear it and just look at the colors. I mean, while it's not as blood orange in this example as it normally is, LG definitely is falling behind. Hilariously, though, again, the red on the S95B does look better in this example, and skin tones just look really good either way. I mean, they all look good. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like when we max out the S95D back to where it was, just so you can get an idea what that looks like. Okay, and now you see the S95D to the right, fully optimized, back to where it was before we toned it down a little bit so that we could see it kind of toned down for the sake of competing with the other TVs on a similar level. But then we put it back to the S95D level, and let's see what it looks like. I can tell you reds are out of this world on the S95D right now. Like, freaking incredible. Like, I don't watch demo content, right? I watch real content. So this is literally the first time damn, look at that green. Holy shit, that's good. I mean, like, I have not seen this. So, like, this is, like, literally me watching it for the first time comparatively to all these. And it's a slaughter fest for the 95D going up against all these other TVs. Even in the 95B, it could not hang. That green was really something special, too. And again, just looking at it to see what it can do. Beautiful color. I mean, it's tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous what we're seeing here out of the color for sure. Okay, so now we're looking at LG's specific demo content for LG. And again, for anybody that feels put out like, oh, you're making LG look worse, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Right now, we are in the auto picture save, which is my setting. We're going to go into the standard mode. It looks worse. We're going to go into filmmaker mode, the most accurate mode. It looks substantially worse. We're going to go ahead and pause right here just so you can see. Again, my calibration, standard mode on LG, my calibration, filmmaker mode. So, as you can clearly see, there is a vast difference in the picture quality I give versus the one that they're selling you. Day and night, quite literally, it helps LG look way better than they were going to look. So for anybody feeling again like I'm trying to just bash on LG, they've had their chance to fight. This is as far as they go. And I think we kind of know this because, again, to reiterate, year after year, WOLED numbers are exactly the same, more or less, in either direction when we talk about SDR. And that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at SDR. Again, we can look at HDR and all that other stuff. And again, pause right here. Because demo content has such like graded colors that are like really juiced up, what we can do is we can tone down the intensity of the S95B, which really, translation, I'm just taking it out of the native color space mode and putting it into the normal color space mode. And that will help fix a lot of these problems. Okay, so again, not perfect. I've already gone ahead and finished putting it into the native color space mode, or rather the normal color space mode. And again, the S95B does have the more realistic sand color. The S95D, not so much. It's a little too red. So again, there are going to be differences, and it's important to pick out those differences. However, even though it might have a little too much red, that red is coming as a benefit in pretty much all the other examples. And you can kind of see it here when you look like red can affect pink, can affect purple, can affect anything that is a derivative of red, like orange. So it ends up looking really good. Now, interestingly enough, pause right here. Now you're starting to see the limitations of the S95D. You really are. Because I'll tell you right now, that does not look good. I don't care what you try to say, how you try to spin it, that doesn't look good at all. That's an L for the S95D. Now what I can do is I can try to go to my different picture preset. I'm on Eco right now. I can go to Standard, and it'll improve a little bit, going from that where it's really blue to that. But if I'm being honest, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, like, yes, it makes it look better, but at the same time, you'll see what I mean. Like, it's still too blue. Where the S95B is able to get closer to LG OLED level of cyan, which I will give LG all day, every day. Their cyan reproduction is beautiful in this example. Then again, the S95D on this example on the LG demo is doing poorly. Again, I don't know why that is, but that is definitely how it plays out. But it's weird because then I was watching One Piece and it was the total reverse. Cyan had no problem on the S95 series. So I have no idea why these kinds of things happen, but this is why we also go through every manufacturer's demos to see what they look like, because maybe that could explain why you see certain things in other people's YouTube videos too, because sometimes weird shit like that just happens when it comes to processing and its decision on where to place color and how to place color. I can tell you though that, you know, if you want a freaking intense picture that's gonna gobsmack you to the floor, the S95D is it. If you have an S95B, you have literally zero reason to upgrade to the LG C4 because that is not an upgrade from that. It's dim, it's ugly, and you're seeing it. So even though it has an Evo panel, if you have an S95B, chill with what you got because I promise you, it's gonna look better on the S95B. So last but not least, we're gonna do a Sony demo, and we're gonna basically be rounding out our thoughts here. I mean, in summary, the LG C4 is probably the worst I've seen for color. It is very dim. It doesn't really feel like a modern, updated TV in any way, shape, and or form. if we're talking about just like, again, picture quality. Again, in HDR, this is not alleviated. It's just brighter and colors look more washed than their counterparts on the QD OLED side of things. And even if you like WOLED, there are just some things you can't defeat. And again, counteractively, if I pause right here, the little differences that I notice on my end is when I look at the strawberries, the catch lights and all of them, they're stronger on the S95B than they are on the S95D to the top right. And that's very important because maybe that's also where we see the difference between the matte finish screen that they put on there versus the, again, clear one where it looks a lot better for this example. Again, it's going to come down to what you watch. It's going to trade back and forth entirely way too much, but you're seeing some pretty big differences here. Now, again, in the interest of fairness, opening up our settings, I have to do this a million and one times because people are going to be like, oh, you just hate LG. And then we're going to go standard, which is already on the default. This is how it comes out of the box. We're going to go ahead and hit reset, hit yes. Okay, now we've established that that ugly, cool garbage is what it looks like. Now we're going to go to filmmaker mode. Now we're going to go down to our advanced settings and we're going to hit reset just so we can confirm that this is what LG looks like in the most accurate mode. I've run the test measurements, I've run the numbers, and it is truly accurate according to the industry standard. And this is what that looks like versus real strawberries. I have never seen green strawberries. I don't know where you would find green strawberries that have like a reddish green hue to them that aren't rotten and garbage. Okay, real strawberries are red and they have a very beautiful color, like what I'm seeing on the S95D. That is the real color of strawberries. The 95B, I've seen strawberries that color too, but they're always those like GMO artificial ones at Walmart or some shit. But you can get the idea. We're going to go ahead and hit play. Just for everybody that wants to say I'm bashing LG. This is how they would have done without my help. Okay. Now, we're going to see the flower example again. This is the accurate version of LG, what every professional like Vincent Tio is calibrating to and telling you to do. Don't do that if you want to see an impressive picture. If you want accurate, go for accurate. But if you want impressive, accurate ain't impressive. And it damn sure ain't for everybody. And go ahead and hit my settings back in there, and bam, it gets a lot more impressive. And again, I'm not a miracle worker though. I can't fix the ugly shade of red. That's just something LG has had for years and will continue to have. And you're kind of seeing it here. And you'll see it in pretty much every single example that an LG exists in. And that's one of the things that I think is the biggest detractor to LG and what makes it such a tough sell. If they could fix their reds, it'd be a little easier, but again, not perfect. Now, that being said though, I mean, this is an extremely long comparison. So I appreciate you if you've made it all the way through to the end. We were able to see again just some of those nuanced differences, like in the grass back there. I'll run it back just a little bit so you can see the S95B had worse grass than the S95D. So this is where the difference in, again, them pushing the whole Pantone validated color thing, ultra heavy, that's where it comes in, the grass. I mean, it's just kind of like bluish green versus that, which is like locked the hell in, and it looks really good. And then again, the C4 is not doing bad with grass either. It's just not as realistic. But again, to each their own. Everybody's going to choose what works best for them. And at the end of the day, it's all about enjoying your content. So if you enjoy it on a dim, washed out TV, enjoy it. If you enjoy it on an oversaturated TV, enjoy it. If you enjoy it on a balanced TV, enjoy it. This is information, nothing more, nothing less. And as long as you have that, and I've helped you here today, let me know with a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. That being said, from a personal opinion and perspective, I personally would not recommend the LG C4 because you could buy any of the older WOLEDs on the market and get this exact experience. And for that, just buy the older stuff. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.